Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today an art journal tutorial and I will be using some peel and stick collage elements. That's right, peel and stick. So I'm working in my Canson mixed media art journal and I am going to start this page, break this page by gluing down this beautiful autumn colored napkin. This is giving me the theme, the color scheme, and really setting everything up. And as soon as I saw these napkins, I just fell in love with them and have been dying to use them. So I have a whole pack. And as this one progressed, let me tell you, I will definitely be using this again to start a page. So I'm gluing this down with fluid matte medium. And yes, I removed the 2 excess plies of napkin. And I'm putting a coat on underneath and on top. And there I ripped it because I was just going a little too careless. But that's okay. You don't see it in the end. I decided that I wanted to break up some of the pattern and I wanted to add even more texture. So I'm rubbing thick gesso through this layered wallpaper stencil. You don't see a lot of this, but you do notice the texture in real life. Now, whenever you use gesso on a stencil or modeling paste, you need to stop and clean the stencil. You take care of your stencils. So now I want to colorize this napkin. And my intent here was not to push back all the napkin. And at this stage, it really doesn't. But I love this napkin and this page in every single stage. And it was really hard to keep going because you just want to leave it as it is. So I'm mixing red, cadmium red, with black, and it's making that burgundy color. The black obviously has some blue in it. And then I'm putting yellow oxide paint as well on a makeup sponge. Again, those colors were inspired by the napkin. So I'm not creating the color scheme, but I'm using the napkin color scheme as a jump start. Oh, this background is absolutely luscious. You can see this texture there. You can see all the wonderful autumn colors. Just absolutely delicious. Just edging it a little bit with the black paint that I have. At this stage, I'm altering the plan that I had and I'm going a different way. So I grab my Ranger blending foams and black paint and I'm just rubbing ever so lightly over top of all the texture. So we've got texture from the gesso that I pushed through the stencil, and you can see that coming to life here. And I've got texture from the napkin, and that's just, oh, again, it looks so scrumptious. But because I've added black here, it is one, it pushed back the pattern of the napkin, and two, it's darkened the page a little bit more than what was my original intent. So I grabbed a coffee filter because I've decided that I'm going to make a sunflower. And this coffee filter had been colored black with black acrylic paint, and I'm using this fence grid slimline stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and I'm using yellow oxide, and then I'm stenciling stencil butter, champagne gold stencil butter on top to make shine. And at this point, I'm thinking I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut out a smaller section of this for the center of my sunflower. but the page had other plans. I decided that I wanted the center to be yellow to lighten the page. So I had this coffee filter that was already colorized. I do stencil black. So again, I use that fence grid stencil that you saw me using, and I stencil black on it, but that video footage got lost. I was going to draw my sunflower on there, and then I decided that I'm going to make a master board on sticker paper. This is full sheet shipping labels, and I'm brayering yellow oxide on there and stenciling. Now, I did a video recently where I made master boards on this sticker paper, and I promised you videos using this sticker paper master board. So while none of those really worked for this project, I decided that I did want to use the sticker paper. And so I am creating a master board specific for this page. Here I stenciled on punch card, which is another slimline stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. And then I'm brayering on again. You can go, if you click on the eye in the top right hand corner, you can go to that video where I make those other master boards and I share all the tips and tricks that I learned about colorizing the adhesive paper. So now I want a different pattern, and this stencil is called Tile Mania. It's been one of my favorites. I've had it in 12-inch and I just got the 6-inch one. And I love the patterning that this gives. I'm just using white gesso through the stencil. And it's giving some lovely patterning. Now I want these to totally dry. Then I'm folding them in half and I'm tracing. I've got some petal templates, sunflower petal templates here. And I'm just tracing out on the back. Easy peasy. And I folded it because when I cut, I'm going to trace once, cut once, have two. And I'm going to keep the leftovers because I'm going to use those to break a page or to add some element to some page. So stay tuned. There'll be more videos with me using this sticker paper master boards. So I start with the other one that I use the punch card stencil on. Just a reminder that you really do want to dry those perfectly. Now, with the punch card one, I decided that that was a little too much pattern, so I did another sticker paper, just yellow oxide brayered on with a little bit of white, and I cut out the petals. Now, I arranged it on the page the way I wanted, and then I'm marking. You'll see me marking where it is. Now remember, you want whatever is underneath to get glued down first. So I peel off the backing and stick. I mark where the petal is, my final decision, peel it, place it, stick it, press. And even with the texture, this just went on so slick. Loving the peel and stick collage. Something, it could not be easier. So I definitely will be using more of that full sheet shipping labels and doing different colors with patterns to do some other collage projects. Because really it was so very, very, very slick. So here I'm placing the patterned petals on, getting the placement exactly where I want it. And then again, I'm marking, I'm just putting a line and peel and stick. You can get a full 100 of these full sheet shipping labels from Amazon. And I think it's like $14, $15 US. It holds up to the paint that I've put on it, and the adhesive really, really works. I don't even feel the need to put any adhesive underneath. I cut off a little bit of that excess, and there was a little bit I needed to cover, so I'm just sticking some of that in there so it doesn't show. And there is the coffee filter that was yellow that I used that stencil and made it black for the center of the sunflower. And I'm putting a coat of the fluid matte medium over top of everything. Now, I really didn't have to put it over top of the sticker paper, but I wanted to see how it responded to it. Now, I really want to bring out this sunflower from the background, so I'm using my shading technique with my angle brush and shading with black. And I usually go one side of the petal, and once that's dry, I go and do the other side. I'll put a link to this shading video if you're interested in learning this technique. It's one of my favorites. Excuse me. I do a lot of finishing on this to bring out this sunflower and to add more interest to it. I'm also shading around or edging the page. Here I'm shading on the outside of the sunflower. This really helps to make the sunflower stand off from the background. And then I'm going around the center. I'm adding some highlights with white and the same shading technique. Usually when I add white, I add less. So it's just little highlights. And then I decide to add a little bit of white to the black stenciling on the center of the sunflower. So you see what I mean about adding those details. I did not have a plan when I started for where I was going, but the page kind of tells you. You look at it and then you try something. I'm splattering with white. I want to brighten this up just a little bit. And because it's sunflower and it's almost Canadian Thanksgiving, I grab my Grateful, Thankful, Blessed sentiment pack and I print off the one that says Find Joy in the Ordinary. And I tweak the sizes to be perfect for my page because with the digital sentiments, you can always resize them, bigger or smaller, to fit whatever you're creating. And I'm just removing a lot of the excess white. So I'm looking at this and I decide I needed to do some more shading. I'm going on the other side of the center and I'm adding a little bit of the red to the black, and that's giving me that same color that's in the background, that burgundy color. And then I'm adding some details to the petals. And this is where this really comes alive. And then I'm gluing with gel medium because there's so much texture underneath the sentiment. And I chose bold lettering, a sentiment with bold lettering, and I wanted to leave the white to brighten that page instead of printing it out on tissue paper. I grabbed my white Posca pen and I'm sketchily outlining the sunflower. Again, this brightens it up and really adds to it. I don't do a lot of doodling on my pages, but I do like the effect. Then I go around on the stenciling here. I love how that fence grid stencil looked on this page, how it made for the perfect center for that sunflower. And you can see all that shading and highlighting and outlining really gave dimension to that sunflower. Just adding a few more sketches on here. I grab my black Posca pen to outline the sentiment. Lately, I have become a real sunflower lover. Then I decide that I want to lighten the background and I grab that fence grid stencil with some white gesso and I'm just stenciling a little bit on the background, kind of fussing a little bit about where I want it, how much I want it. Not sure I got it perfectly, but I do like that little bit of stenciling on there. I think if I was doing it again, I would use the fence grid stencil and put the gesso, the thick gesso through it for the texture on the background and bring that out. I think that might be what I would do next time. As with all art journal pages, you learn as you go. I have a whole bunch of sticker papers left in my stash, but I'm absolutely loving this page. Give me a thumbs up, share with your creative friends, and now let go find joy in the ordinary. Happy Thanksgiving.